Number 5. Threatening to kill the president. The United States is a country with almost complete freedom of the press, and as such, Americans are allowed to criticize their politicians as much as they please. However, the one thing that you absolutely cannot say is that you want to kill the president.
For Joe Biden, they need a special person who is gonna like catch him when he falls, you know. Fingers up if you think that Trump's hair is fake. What's up, team? My name is Tom, and today I'm gonna react to 15 Secret Service tactics that are insane. Secret Service are people who are gardening, not gardening, like who are securing the president. Basically, they are security of the president, you can call that. Maybe they are doing the gardening also, I don't know. Let's see, let's go.
Tasked with defending the president of the United States,
cover him, please.
Uses amazing tactics to do their jobs. Some of the measures they take may seem crazy.
Look at the guy, he's like, no, what are you doing, man?
Take a look at 15 of the most insane.
This is the president's limousine, by the way. I have a video about that, you can check it out over here, guys.
While the president generally has barriers and barricades around him in order to keep out unwanted guests, the Secret Service will generally have some sort of formation that allows them to quickly intercept
4-4-2, like in football.
While this tactic is rather basic, it is proven to be extremely important. This is because it was thanks to this shield that Richard Nixon was protected against a Latin American mob, and Ronald Reagan was safeguarded from an assassination attempt. As such, this tactic has become an integral part of Secret Service training. Number 14.
For Joe Biden, they need a special person who is gonna like catch him when he falls, you know, like he did from the plane.
Tactical driving. In the event of an attack on a presidential vehicle, the Secret Service member in the driver's seat.
Yeah, guys, just reminding you, I have a video about this, about how the United States president travels.
In the arts of offensive and defensive driving. These include maneuvers such as the three-wheel J-turn, the ability to reverse accelerate, ramming into other vehicles safely, and driving full speed and in complete control while
man, they need a lot of skills to be a
this type of
president security guard.
Drivers in the Fast and Furious movies to shame.
I know one person that they need to hire. It's Vin Diesel. Yes.
Number 13,
Dominic Toretto.
Getting shot. Secret Service agents have to be prepared for anything while on the job, so in order to ensure that they can continue to serve even when under fire, one of their training tactics is to get shot with fake bullets. More specifically, the bullets that are shot at them during training exercises.
Probably they contain pain.
A superficial sting. They don't penetrate deep enough to cause any serious damage. This makes them the perfect training tool. Number 12. They film everything. Constantly being filmed sounds like something taken right out of the book 1984.
You're gonna get used to it.
This measure
I'm feeling myself every day, guys. Just for you.
Since cameras failed to identify President Kennedy's assassin after he was shot in 1963.
Boom! His head just flew away, man.
Meticulously filming every presidential motorcade on camera. While this filming can be used to help identify potential threats,
like a melon.
In the case that something bad were to happen, this footage would be invaluable in trying to determine the suspects behind any presidential.
After assassination of Kennedy, they changed the planning of the car which president was traveling in, and basically they start using roofs. So basically, after Kennedy assassination, there was no Cadillacs anymore.
Attack. Number 11. Crowd scanning. While meetings at a distance are easy to deal with, some interactions are a little more up close and personal than most. In order to deal with this, the Secret Service are constantly scanning the area around the
love the haircut
to keep an eye on people who have their hands stuffed in their pockets.
Fingers up if you think that Trump's hair is fake.
Or otherwise suspicious. The sunglasses are their way of doing this undercover, as by being completely black, it's nearly impossible for these suspects to notice that they're being stared at. Therefore, just know that if you ever get to visit the president, you will be constantly watched. Number 10. Trip planning. While you've probably made an itinerary to plan your
Man, you don't want to go to
one
Aleppo.
city to another, the Secret Service brings trip planning to a whole new level. Rather than
Baghdad?
simply plan a
No.
route and then book hotels, Secret Service agents take a very hands-on approach that takes every minor detail into consideration. For example, they will ensure the airspace is clear, map out a motorcade route, plan which presidential vehicles will use it. They'll identify low-risk hotels that can have entire floors booked off, and will be sure to locate hospitals and secure locations en route should the president need to be treated or evacuated to safety. All of this planning generally needs to take place months in advance.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of people also doing that.
Zero presidential visits are unplanned. Number 9. Always watching. While it may creep you out to imagine someone watching your every move, this is exactly what the president has to deal with on a daily basis. From the time they run on the campaign trail to the time they die, they will always have a security detail, and it's this security detail's task to never take their eyes off the president, and I mean that literally. Whether the president is going to a doctor's appointment, having a meeting with a member of Congress, or
Going to
the
toilet.
bathroom, a Secret Service agent has to be on hand. And while this type of protection is certainly necessary when a president is in office, it can get overbearing afterwards. And as a result, President Nixon went as far as to have it relinquished in 1985 and instead replaced it with his own private security detail. Number 8. Sistema. Secret Service agents are a highly trained military force, and while they generally hope to avoid hand-to-hand combat, they generally neutralize these types of physical threats through a martial art known as Sistema, Russian for system. It's a type of Russian martial art that's known for being extremely brutal. Originally used only by military personnel such as the KGB and Spetsnaz.
Well, they can use Krav Maga also. Krav Maga is very effective way to neutralize your opponent quickly.
Emphasizes the use
Using
of
the
natural
weak
and simple
spots.
techniques to take advantage of an attacker's biomechanics. More specifically, it's a strong focus on controlling the levers of an attacker and deflecting weapons so that they cannot be aimed at the president. It's largely because of martial arts such as Sistema that it would be near impossible for any shooter to take out the president at short range in today's day and age, making it a useful
Look at
skill
this
to
dude,
know.
man. He looks like a
Number
master.
7. Food testing. Poisoning is easily one of the sneakiest ways to kill a president, and so in order to ensure that a poisoned porterhouse steak isn't what leads to the president's demise, the Secret Service has the task of testing food.
Yeah,
While
they
don't
have to
take a
bite
bite
it
to test
first.
it. What they do instead is monitor the entire cooking process as if it's being done by non-cleared chefs, say at a fancy restaurant. However, there
Just
are some
imagine
exceptions.
like you're just a clerk in the McDonald's and president decides to visit your McDonald's in your area, and there's a Secret Service guy watching you, and you're just like cutting the I don't know, like cucumbers, and your hands are shaking. I would be very nervous if it would
exceptions to this
if it
rule.
would
For
happen to
example,
me.
if the president is eating at a place like Buckingham Palace, the Secret Service is generally comfortable enough to trust the UK's Secret Service to inspect the food for them. The Secret Service is also lax when it comes to the president's takeout food, as rather than order food right to the White House, they will order it to a building nearby so that the cooks don't know that it's there for the president and therefore do not poison it.
Yeah, well,
Number
that's
6,
smart.
letter testing.
That's smart.
While it's easy enough to find someone who makes threatening comments about the president online, doing so for a letter with no return address is much harder. However, despite the challenges, the Secret Service is able to do this by employing a few sneaky tactics. If
For
the letter
example?
is handwritten, it can be run under a handwriting scanner, which can be matched to other handwritten documents in their database to determine a potential match. However, if the letter is
That's
typed, then
interesting.
the Secret Service reaches out
I'm
to
shocked.
their ink database. Ink companies apply chemical tags to their ink before it's shipped, and by cross-referencing the letter's ink to the tags, the Secret Service can find out which company sold the ink, what country it's from, what state it's sold in, and allegedly what city the ink was shipped to. This process allows
Man,
the Secret Service
wow,
to
they
narrow
go
down their
deep.
search efforts.
They
And
go
with enough
deep on
additional
this one.
sleuth work, this tactic allows them to find the sender. Number 5. Threatening to kill the president. The United States is a country with almost complete freedom of the press, and as such, Americans are allowed to criticize their politicians as much as they please. However, the one thing that you absolutely cannot say is that you want to kill the president. Considered to be a Class D felony under United States law, doing so is punishable by up to 5 years in prison, a maximum fine of $250,000, and up to 3 years of supervised release. And internet restrictions such as
Man, I mean,
prohibition on
like, what should be wrong with you when you go to Twitter and tweet that you're gonna kill the president? I mean, and you think it will go unnoticed? You
accessing
mad?
emails.
You madman?
Now, while this may sound pretty heavy-handed, what's perhaps even more interesting is that the Secret Service is very active in terms of enforcement. In order to find potential threats, they constantly scour the internet using advanced technologies in order to find any suspects online, while also relying on reports made by those who say such things out in public. Once a suspect is found, they'll launch a mini investigation and will divide the threat into one of 3 categories. The first type, which are Class 1 threats, are those deemed serious at first but ultimately determined to be harmless. Class 2 threats are considered to be serious but made by people incapable of acting upon them. And Class 3 threats that are considered to be serious and dangerous enough that the agents will have to interview the suspect and any acquaintances of theirs to determine if they truly are a threat. With this in mind, I recommend being extremely careful about what you post about the president online, as if you say something dicey, you might be able to expect a Secret Service
Some
agent
people
to be knocking on your
just
door.
don't think, there's a lot of people who
Number
don't use their
4,
brain,
Marine
unfortunately.
When traveling between cities, sometimes a car isn't all that practical. After all, American presidents typically need to have a large motorcade around them, and in all honesty, it's often easier and less expensive to simply let the president travel by air. As a result, a helicopter that goes by the code name Marine One is often used to transport the president from place to place, with a helicopter by the code name of Marine Two often being used in the same capacity for the vice president. Now, technically speaking, any aircraft carrying the president or vice president can get their Marine code names. However, with the helicopters in question, they're typically HMX-1 Nighthawks, which consist of either large Sikorsky VH-3D Sea King helicopters or the newer, smaller VH-60N White Hawk helicopters. In either case, there are usually as many as 5 helicopters used, as all the ones not carrying the president will typically act as decoys, shuffling around with the president.
Man, I wouldn't like to be a president. It's just too hard. It's just for savages. To be a president, you need to be a savage.
Don't stop there.
Just imagine how long you need to be in a government to get to the president seat.
Equipped with an anti-missile countermeasure system, such as flares to counter heat-seeking missiles, chaff to counter radar-guided missiles, and an
careful
jammer
stairs,
to protect
he might fall.
infrared missiles. In addition to this, every member of the HMX-1 is required to pass a specialized Yankee White background check before touching any of the helicopters used for presidential travel, ensuring both the helicopter's equipment and the president himself cannot be tampered with. When considered in tandem, it's these countermeasures that enable a president's flight from place to place is as safe as possible. Number 3. White House security tricks. Given that the White House is the home of the president, it's an extremely difficult home to get into. If you'd like a tour, it is legal to get a look around a few carefully selected parts of the facility.
I remember in a game called Hitman Blood Money, you had the mission where you have to go to White House and assassinate some guy who's related to the president or something like that.
Although you must book 21
Just
days in advance so that the Secret Service can do a background check on you. However, if you happen to be someone who's not on a scheduled visit, then you'll have a far more difficult time finding your way inside.
That was the closest how I got to the White House, man, in the game.
And underground, they're sensitive enough to detect even the most minuscule of threats. And while this means that sometimes something as small as a squirrel can cause Secret Service agents to storm into the White House, it means that no threats go uninvestigated. Above ground,
maybe it's Assassin's Squirrel, who knows?
DC is considered to be a no-fly zone, so if anyone or anything enters this area, a team of drones and a set of sensors will pick it up. And if necessary, there are several surface-to-air
literally there's like team of people working on that, observing the air above the White House 24/7.
However, despite the security in place, several people have managed to enter the White House uninvited. Some, such as Omar Gonzalez, has used violence. Others, such as Robert Latta, were able to simply walk past all security. As such, it's technically possible to find a way around security and
They might
enter the
shoot you
White
for
House.
that, I think.
But yeah, good luck with that.
Bro, this
Number
is so
2,
dangerous.
Air Force One. The President of the United States typically
By
has
the
to
way,
visit
guys,
multiple
by
countries
the
during
way,
their term, so the
I have a video about this also, about the Air Force One. Check it out in the left corner. Very interesting about the plane. Check it out. Don't miss it.
Secret Service has to furnish an airplane that's able to comfortably make international trips. And while Air Force One can technically refer to any plane that the president flies in, the title is most often designated to one of 2 very highly customized Boeing 747-200B series aircraft. Now, these aircraft are perhaps best known for having a virtually unlimited range.
They are very fast. Literally, it's a flying castle. Flying castle. It's hard to
as they
shoot
have the
down.
remarkable ability to be able to be refueled mid-air. The 2 planes are also extremely secure, as they have onboard electronics that protect against electromagnetic pulses and coded communications equipment that allow the aircraft to function as a mobile command center in the event of an attack on the United States. Yet besides the intense security, the plane is also extremely luxurious. That's because inside of each is composed of about 370 square meters of floor space spread across 3 stories. With this including
And there's
an
like
extensive
every
suite for the
room you can
president that
imagine.
features a large office, bathroom, and a conference room. Air Force One also includes a medical suite that can function as an operating room, and a doctor is permanently present in order to serve the needs of all on board. If the plane's visitors get hungry too, they can rely on Air Force One's 2 food preparation galleys, which have the capacity to feed 100 people at any given time.
Wow.
Best of all,
That's
when you consider
impressive.
that the plane has separate quarters for the president's advisors and a detachment of cargo planes to provide the president with everything he could ever need, it becomes clear that this plane is the epitome of luxury. Number 1, the Beast. When it comes to safe travel,
Guys, you
nothing
know what
quite
I'm gonna
beats the
say. I have a
presidential
video
vehicle,
about this. Check it
nicknamed
out.
The Beast. It's a limousine that is made to look like a Cadillac, but outside of its headlamps, tail lamps, and the grille design, the car itself is far from your typical Caddy. Driven by the Secret Service, the Beast takes things up a notch by sporting a chassis, diesel engine, and transmission that are similar to those used on GM's heavy-duty commercial vehicles. As a result, the Beast comes in at a whopping 9,000 kilograms, has a max speed of just 100 kph, and an efficiency of about 3.5 kilometers per liter. However, outside of its rather poor specs, the Beast is by all accounts a world-class vehicle. For
Yeah,
example, the car's
it's armored.
doors are
Let's start from
reportedly
that.
20 centimeters thick and weigh
Yeah.
as much as the doors found on a Boeing 787, meaning that they're nearly impenetrable against outside threats. The security is reinforced by the car windows, which are bulletproof and about 13 centimeters thick, and the underbody, which is made out of a reinforced 13 centimeter steel plate that can fend off roadside bombs. The tires are reportedly run flats made from super high strength Kevlar, which means that they function even after being punctured.
Oh, that's interesting.
Interestingly
Yeah.
enough, the car's protection even extends to its interior, as if faced with a chemical attack, the inside of the car can be completely contained, as the fuel tank can surround itself with a special foam material in order to insulate it from outside threats. And if the president ever gets in a really messy situation, the trunk of the car is fully stocked with tear gas canisters, shotguns, grenade launchers,
Oh,
oxygen
that's-
tanks,
that-
night
that's
vision
really
cameras,
nice,
and a cache
man.
of the president's blood
You're
type.
very safe in
All
this
of
car.
this being used by a squad of Secret Service agents when necessary. In other words, the car really is ready for anything. Yet it's also important to note that the Beast has its own fair share of problems. That's because despite being as tough as it is, it's notoriously difficult to drive and prone to
It's
breaking
big,
down.
heavy,
As a result,
super
it's only
heavy.
ever released on rare occasions that require added security.